Hey guys, Pastor P here. Hope you're doing well this evening. Greetings from Florida. Yes, yesterday, California, today, Florida. It's a beautiful thing. It really, really is. Wow. Luke chapter 23. Luke chapter 23. They're turning Jesus over to Pilate. It says, the whole assembly rose and led him off to Pilate, and they began to accuse him, saying, we have found this man subverting our nation. He opposes payment of taxes to Caesar, and he claims to be the Messiah. He claims to be the king. And Pilate asked Jesus, are you the king of the Jews? And Jesus replied, you have said so. And Pilate announced to the chief priests and the crowd, I find no basis for a charge against this man. And they insisted. Here's what they're insisting on. Here's what they're charging him with. He stirs up the people all over Judea by his teaching. He started in Galilee and has come all the way here. He's stirring up folks. He's stirring up folks with his healing and his delivering and his salvation. He's stirring up folks, throwing around grace and mercy like it was unconditional love. He's stirring up folks. And hearing this, I mean, just think about how this sounds. It's like so modern times, like right now. Some stuff just sounds like so crazy. On hearing this, Pilate asked if the man was a Galilean. And when he learned that Jesus was under Herod's jurisdiction, okay, we can pass the buck. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. They have brought me to decide, but I'm going to let Herod decide. And he sent him to Herod, who was also in Jerusalem at the time. And Herod was so excited about this because it says for a long time he'd been wanting to see Jesus. From what he had heard about him, he hoped to see him perform a sign. Just give me a sign. I just want to see something. And he plied him with many questions, but Jesus gave him no answer. And the chief priests and the teachers of the law were standing there and vehemently accusing him. His religion just bearing down on him. And Herod and his soldiers ridiculed and mocked him and dressing him in an elegant robe. They sent him back to Pilate. No, I'm not going to make a decision. Do you make this decision? And it says that day Herod and Pilate became friends. Before this they had been enemies. And Pilate called together the chief priests and the rulers and the people. And he said to them, you brought this man to me as one who was inciting the people to rebellion. A rebellion, a love rebellion. Whoo! A rebellion of grace and mercy. Wow. He goes on to say, I've examined him in your presence and have found no basis for your charges against him. Neither has Herod, for he sent him back to us. As you can see, he's done nothing to deserve death. Therefore, I'll punish him and then release him. Well, that wasn't enough. That was not enough for the people. They were just like, the whole crowd was like, okay, no, we want Barabbas. We want you to make a choice right here, right now, today. We want to be done with this man, Jesus. We want to be done with this love rebellion, this inciting grace and mercy and delivering folks and healing folks and caring for people. What's up with him? And it says, release Barabbas to us. And the little side note, because Luke's going to tell you, he's going to tell it all. He's going to give the research. He said, Barabbas had been thrown into prison for an insurrection in the city and for murder. And wanting to release Jesus, Pilate appealed to them again, but they kept shouting, crucify him, they would say. And for the third time, it says that he spoke to them. What crime has he done? Like, come up with something. What are y'all talking about? I have found no grounds for his death. But they insisted. They continually demanded that he be crucified. And turns out that their shouts prevailed. Luke 23, y'all. Pilate decided to grant their demand. And he released the man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and murder. The one they had asked for. And he surrendered Jesus. He surrendered Jesus to their will. And he goes on to talk about the crucifixion of Jesus. And we're looking in this particular story. We're finding many characters. Remember, we talked about this when we went through Mark. Many characters are present. You got the crowd. just bearing down, just yelling and coming after him. They were all pumped up with all this religious craziness. They were all like just so excited to be done with him because he must have done something horribly, horribly wrong. But they just went on the word of religious folks. They just went on the word of the leaders there of the day. It says here that Pilate and Herod were listening. Neither one of them wanted responsibility for it. But you got the crowd, and the crowd is watching, the crowd is judging. They probably forgot about how he had healed perhaps some of them, or healed someone other than them. Maybe they were upset about it. I don't know. Okay? But you have religious rulers. It tells us. People stood watching. The rulers stood sneering. The soldiers were mocking. All these people were playing their part. Okay? And one of the criminals, he was insulting Jesus. It says one of the criminals who hurled insults at him. Aren't you the Messiah? Save yourself and us. Because there were two criminals there to be crucified on that same day. And then there was another criminal there just longing and pleading for mercy. And he's asking Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus answered him, truly I tell you, today, you will be with me in paradise. Now I know I'm reading through a lot of that, and I know you can read through it. I know you can feel it. You can feel the passion of it. You can feel the heartache of it. You can feel, bring it into current times where someone standing for truth, someone standing for unconditional love, someone standing there just sharing grace and mercy. Okay? And then folks opposing that. We don't want none of that love. We don't want none of that grace and mercy. We got rules, and he didn't follow the rules the way things had always been, or the way we thought they had been. He didn't follow those. Okay? And for that, we've got to silence him. We've got to silence him. And it goes on to talk about the crucifixion, the actual crucifixion. It says about noon, and darkness came over the whole land until 3 p.m. So for like 3 hours, darkness, for the sun had stopped shining. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two, and Jesus called out with a loud voice, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. And when he had said this, he breathed his last. It says, the centurion, seeing what had happened, praised God and said, surely this was a righteous man. When all the people who had gathered to witness the sight saw what took place, they beat their breasts and they went away. But all those who knew him, including the women who had followed him from Galilee, stood at a distance just watching these things. Watching these things. I can only imagine watching these things in unbelief. Like, oh my goodness, he came to do all this good. He was God made flesh. He walked among us. And his worries, our worries became his worries. He took it all on. His concerns. Put your boat out into deep water and get a big catch. Your concerns became his concerns. Okay? The woman with the issue of blood, Jairus, his daughter. Okay? Feeding the thousands, the multitudes. And he just did it. Full of love, unconditional love, and grace and mercy. They didn't have to fill out any forms. They didn't have to, show any identification. They didn't have to do anything to get it. That's the beauty of grace and mercy. And religion doesn't understand that, okay? And maybe some pastors or preachers wouldn't tell you that, okay? But I'm going to tell you that, okay? You don't have to do anything to get grace and mercy. To me, that's why he turned over the tables. He turned over the tables in the temple that day, okay? Because people were trying to buy love. They were trying to buy God's love. They're trying to buy God's favor. They're trying to buy grace and mercy. And that's not how it works. Jesus came to establish relationship. Intimate relationship with God. He was a bridge of unconditional love between humanity and God. A bridge that just a constant constant flow of grace and mercy and peace and joy and goodness and kindness. I mean, just a continual flow of goodness. And people didn't know what to do with it. And so I guess it's got me stirred today even to ask you, which one of these characters closely describes you? Which belief closely describes you? Jesus didn't put any limits on love. He was very liberal with his love. He was very liberal with his grace and his mercy. Mercy, let's just scatter that stuff everywhere, okay? To whoever it needs it, to whoever needs it, come get that love, that connection with God, that relationship with God. Get that grace and mercy. Get that healing. Get that deliverance. Get that salvation. And we love it when it happens to us. But a lot of times we don't like it when others receive love, unconditional love, and grace and mercy. And to me, I don't know. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But a lot of these folks, they were hollering for a criminal who wasn't showing grace and love and mercy. They said he was a murderer. Okay? And all Jesus did was come to give life and give it to the full. Just things to ponder on during Holy Week. Know today that I love you. I love you completely. And even as much as I love you, I know that God loves you so much more. And he gives us these things, especially during Holy Week, as a reminder. And if you allow yourself to be, your heart to be challenged by these things, to re-examine what you really feel about that. Okay, what is it that you feel? Not what your church feels or your mom or your dad or what your, religion, no, or your politics feel or whatever. No, what do you feel about what took place that day? I love you. Have a good night. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye now.